Shop closing at about 10 o'clock. E-heads, I got that good. Tall valves, triple fat GP45s, triple fat glass filled to the top, all rocks. 2 for 10 on the girl, nickels on the boy, 20s on the dro. Smoke it, taste it, freebase it. Pass me by, you won't get high. And hurry up, we closing shop soon. I'm your pusher, man. But yeah, that's where we are now. If you don't know, I'm upgrading my 20S 16P pack to 20S 20P and 20S 20P on board full time. So I will have 5.7 kilowatt hours of battery power on board. So that's pretty good. I will also still utilize and implement my extended range pack. As you know, I have a 20S 4P pack that's 16 amp hour and about 200 discharge amps. And yeah, if I run that along with this onboard battery configuration that I have, then I will have 24P, which is 96 amp hours and about 1080 discharge amps. So why so many P and why so many amps? Let me tell you, it's always best to have more than what's needed. Not only that, what I've learned in trying to get my bike up to speed and get maximum performance using field weakening, I've learned quite a bit. And that is, field weakening itself uses its own, well, needs its own amps. So let's say, for instance, and keep these numbers nice and even so you can understand what I'm saying. Let's say you have a Sabaton, let's make it a 200, 200 amps. If you're running that Sabaton 7200 at 200 amps, the maximum amps, and you attempt to run on Sabatons, they call it flux, you attempt to run your flux weakening at 50%, okay, that means your field weakening will need 100 amps itself to zero out that field. Now let's say if you were running 25% field weakening on 200 amps, your field weakening would need 50 amps. Back EMF, in order to counter that back EMF, requires amps as well. So not only will your battery have to supply that 200 amps, and most batteries, most stock batteries do not, you know, they can't produce 200 amps. So you got a lot of guys out there with these stock batteries with 150 amp BMS. I should have said Sabaton 150 because most of those batteries have 150 amp BMS. So they're right at their 150 amp max as it is running their controller at full power, 150 DC line amps, which is about 350 phase amps, and they attempt to run flux at 50%. So 50% of 150 amps is 75 amps. Your flux will need 75 amps to totally zero out that back EMF. Not only that, field weakening will only initiate if it's above nominal voltage. So let's say when you full throttle and your voltage sags down, if it's sagging down below 72 volts when you full throttle, your field weakening is not initiating. Your nominal voltage has to stay above 72 volts in order for field weakening to take effect. And if it's dipping below that, that means your battery is not supplying enough amps to run the output power that you're running and supply field weakening with enough amps as well. So under load, under full load, you still need to be reading 72 volts. So if your battery's full charge at 84 volts and you throttle up maximum throttle using 150 amps and your voltage sags, it needs to stay above 72 volts. Otherwise, your field weakening is not working. However, if you have a Sabaton 72150 with 150 amp battery, BMS, whatever, you can get some field weakening, but don't turn it all the way up to its max. Sabatons have 50% field flux weakening. Turn it down to maybe 5% or 10%. At 5 or 10%, that means field weakening is only going to need 10% of 150 is let's say like 7.5 amps, if my math is right, something like that. Let's see, 10% of 150, no, it's a little more than that. That's like 100, like 14 amps. 14 amps. So yeah, at 10% you only need 14 amps, so you're good. You can get 10% worth of field weakening. Yeah, y'all, my math was a little off there for a minute, but yeah, or 5%, which would have been 7 amps. But anyway, yeah, and all that still has to be above your nominal voltage. So if you want to play with your field weakening to make sure it's actually working, full throttle, make sure your voltage is not sagging below 72, and you can tweak and keep turning your field weakening up as long as you're not sagging below that 72. So if you can turn it up to 10, 15, 20% and it's staying above 72, that means you're not using more battery amps than you have. So, you know, that's why a lot of guys, even with those bypass batteries, those batteries can still only output maybe 200 amps max. Even some of them chai batteries, whatever, those guys running BAC 4000s and using 250, 300 amps and trying to get 25% field weakening, you're going to need a battery that can supply that 300 amps plus 25% of field weakening, which is another 75 amps under load, you know, still not sagging below 72. So you need 375 amps for your maximum output power and your field weakening. So hopefully y'all understand my point. And you know, I learned that the hard way, running a BAC 8000. You can imagine if I have mine totally maxed out, max power over 450 amps, and I'm trying to use field weakening in the beginning. That's why my field weakening wasn't taking full effect, because my voltage, when I had those smaller packs and lipos was sagging. And when I was getting up around 80, 85 miles an hour, I was getting stuck there. Field weakening wasn't taking effect because I needed 450 amps for my power. And at 25% field weakening, I needed another 112.5 amps on top of that. So, you know, I needed 562.5 amps in total for 25. If I was trying to get max field weakening at 25% on an ASI. So yeah, that is why I continued to go up in pack size, you know, trying to run max power and get field weakening without voltage sag. Now, if you saw that video that I made with some highlights, most of those highlights are from older videos when I didn't have enough battery power. And yeah, that my voltage was sagging pretty good. At when you're drawing 400 plus amps, your voltages are going to sag unless you have an extremely large pack. So yeah, even at 20S 20p, I get voltage sag, but I have enough capacity and enough discharge amps now that I can maintain my voltage above nominal voltage and my field weakening take effect. And now when I get up to 80, 85 miles an hour, field weakening is in effect, and I can continue accelerating on up, which yeah, I learned the hard way. But trust and believe, now the beast has enough power. I'm just giving it a little more with this 20p, and trust and believe me, you don't want none of that. And at the same time, I keep telling people, man, I don't know why people often keep trying to equate speed or how fast a bike is with top speed. That is not the case. I tell people all the time, I could have much easier built a 140 or 120 volt battery and used the Saviton with less amps, maybe 200 amps, and exceeded 100 miles per hour. However, it would have took me a long time to get to that 100 miles an hour. Right now on 72 volts with all those amps, my bike accelerates so fast, man. The 0 to 60 is insane. So trust and believe me. If you don't think so, bring your high voltage build and let me put this high current on your ass. Make no mistake about it. But alright, y'all, take it easy, take care. Crisscrossing wires. We still doing what we need to do up in here, and I'm go ahead and finish this battery up. And like I said, when I'm done, I'll probably be completely utilizing my entire frame. Absolutely. I'm actually going to have to move this fan now, this intake fan, because I'm even going to have batteries going up in this space up here. So yeah, I'll probably move this intake fan to under the frame somewhere to draw air in, and we still got our fan on our controller, so we're all good. Alright, y'all, take it easy, take care. Crisscrossing wires, deuces. We out. Crooked Finger Productions. Peace.